So why did we choose to travel full time?
Shall we rewind back to Helper?
Yeah. How long after dating did I move in?
Probably 6 months.
I feel like it was less. I chose to move in with him probably 4 to 6 months after we started dating because my family was moving out of the house they were renting and I was living with them at the time. Ethan asked me to live with him and I kind of wanted him to, but at the same time I was really nervous about committing. But then we both just went for it, and so we lived in Helper, Utah, which, what's the population there?
Probably, I would say less than 2,000.
We lived in a very small town together in this really cute little 2-story house. We each had a studio in the house and a downstairs and upstairs a kitchen. It was super cute. It just didn't make sense for us at the time.
I feel like I remember the conversation. We were laying in bed, kind of just going back and forth on like options. I think kind of just brainstorming, just really conversating about what we could do.
Yeah.
I remember looking at Zillow, every home rental thing you could think of. I was looking at, we were like looking at different spots, but neither one of us really could pick somewhere where we were just like, yeah, let's go do that. None of it really made sense.
We were looking to move out of state, so we looked in Arizona, Idaho, Oregon, California, just like anywhere you could think of that we've both been curious about living or going to. We couldn't afford to stay in the house that we were in, so we had to move in with my parents for
3 months.
Since we couldn't pick anywhere to live, we were like, what if we get a trailer?
And we lived with your parents for the 3 months to just get our ducks in a row to make those moves. And then, we started looking at trailers because I think for me, growing up, I had this idea, probably since I was like 18 or so. I had this idea where I really wanted a mobile music studio. So whenever I started making music, I started to have these thoughts. And I had a whole vision for like what this tiny home on wheels was going to look like. I remember sharing that, and I remember you sharing that you had thought about potentially traveling and getting a Sprinter van conversion or like some sort of traveling home.
So my mom put it in my head first. She's like, what if you bought a travel trailer and lived in it? And I was like, what if? And so that's kind of when it was planted in my head first, but that was before I even met Ethan. And of course I've always loved road trips. I've always loved traveling. He's an adventurer too. So it just made sense for both of us to do that.
Once we decided that, we're like, okay, we were very excited on the idea of an RV of whatever size, shape. We didn't really know at the time, but when we actually started looking, we were in like the $60,000 to $75,000 price range for a trailer.
We wanted something new, and so we started looking at those types of trailers. But we just kind of figured $60,000, like that doesn't sound too bad. We definitely couldn't get a house for $300,000, but $60,000, we might be able to do that. We found a trailer that we liked and we took it to the bank and they denied us for the loan. And so we go back to my parents' house and I remember just like, what do we do? I guess we're not doing that. We can't. We can't get approved. Some days go by and we start looking at apartments again. We're like, where could we live? But we could not be living with my parents. It just doesn't make sense when you're 2 adults with 2 dogs and they've already got a lot going on in the house. I kept feeling called back to doing the trailer. I remember saying to you, let's look at older ones we could renovate, because renovating the trailer wasn't a part of our plan. We were like, let's just buy it, we can make it our own, but we didn't want to full on renovate anything. And then we started looking at older trailers, and honestly the first 5 older trailers we looked at were trash. I was like, no, what are we doing? People just weren't taking care of them good. They're adventurous type vehicles, so there's a lot of wear and tear.
I think after looking for a while, the hopes and like the dreams of getting a trailer was dwindling a little bit, because probably around the time when we met to the time in Helper, my credit was taking hits because I was using my credit cards and basically ended up maxing all my credit cards out on survival money, which if anybody's ever been in that position knows what I'm talking about, but it is terrible. My minimum payments aren't even covering the interest.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, I missed a few payments, and the way credit works is like it will just ding way harder when you miss a payment compared to when you make a payment. So when it came to getting these trailers, and it was like the reality check when we went to go apply for the loan on like the $60,000 trailer. Oh snap, my credit is trashed. So when it came to $15,000, like 20-ish thousand dollars, it might not even go through. But eventually we did find the trailer that we thought, okay, this could work.
We had asked the bank what could we get approved for so that we could look and know our budget.
Our max.
The trailer that we wanted to buy wasn't actually this one.
I do remember this, yeah.
I don't
was like
remember why
19,000 or something, and our limit was 17.5. They wouldn't budge on it.
We had to keep looking. After you look at so many trailers and it's just not working, it's not a full yes, or you can't afford it, you just start to get a little discouraged. Like, is this really what we're meant to be doing? And so when we came and looked at this trailer, what were your first thoughts?
I just remember feeling like this one could work. I can see something happening with this trailer. The sellers, can't think of their names, but they were so sweet.
They were
and super
so
kind, and they had
nice.
cleaned the whole trailer when we came to look at it. Eventually, when we ended up buying the trailer, they actually drove it to the property for us because we didn't have a truck yet.
Yeah.
Which is a whole nother thing. But yeah, we ended up finding this trailer and just kind of looking at it with a little bit of creativity, seeing that, okay, this could work. It was big enough. It had the spaces that we were looking for. It was just kind of like a, oh yeah, this could work. And I think we were both freaking stoked, and we felt that.
Oh yeah, so for me, I'll just say, like, when I walked into this trailer, I think what I'm looking for is how well was it taken care of. And instantly when I walked in, you can just tell this trailer had been kept up on. It was clean on the inside. She had vacuumed it. She had wiped down everything. Like, it looked good. The one thing we failed on when buying this trailer was the roof, which is pretty essential.
Oh yeah.
But we didn't know. Ethan even got up on the roof and he's like, yeah, it looks good, but you just,
we just didn't know.
You're
we didn't have a professional.
Yeah, and you're so unaware of everything because this is a whole different way of living. So you just don't know all of the things that it's going to take to live in this thing. We went to the bank. We got approved for the loan. We found a property in Camas to park our trailer on until we could get our truck. Because the next steps after buying the trailer was to sell everything that we owned. Everything that was in our helper house, we actually took to a storage unit, and then we emptied the storage unit out, had a garage sale at my grandma's house. Anything we didn't sell, we took to a thrift store. I had a car, Ethan had a car, and Ethan had a motorcycle. We had to sell all three of those things. Was it your car that we sold first?
Mm-hmm. I used that for the down payment because the car was paid off, so all of that went straight towards the RV.
And then we found our truck.
That's a whole journey too.
That's a whole
Should
journey.
we dive into it?
We're gonna stop it there and we'll do a few parts just because it's a long story.
I feel
This
like there's
is a
some
whole
shit that people could like really take from it too.
And we can do a series on our time living in the trailer because we've been in it for 3 years almost now, and we've learned so much.